William Carter wiped sweat from his brow as he stood before the Galactic Council. The massive chamber stretched high above him, filled with hundreds of alien representatives. Their eyes, some glowing, some multifaceted, some barely visible, all focused on the small group of humans. "The Council has reached its decision," announced the Avendary High Speaker. His blue skin shimmered under the chamber lights. His voice boomed through translators around the room. "Humanity is deemed too aggressive and unpredictable to join our federation." William stepped forward. Even at 62 years old, he stood tall and proud as Earth's chief ambassador. "With respect, High Speaker, humanity has maintained peace for over 50 years. We have followed all guidelines for emerging spacefaring civilizations." Nancy Miller, William's assistant, watched nervously from behind him. She had warned him not to challenge the Council directly. The High Speaker raised a six-fingered hand. "We have observed your history, your wars, your rapid technological development. The Council believes humanity would bring instability to our ordered galaxy." Murmurs of agreement echoed through the chamber. The representatives of the Voltar nodded their bulbous heads. The insect-like Sithri clicked their mandibles in approval. William tried again. "We ask only for the chance to prove ourselves as worthy partners." "The decision is final," said the High Speaker. "Humanity will be restricted from all core worlds and middle territories. You may settle only in the outer rim regions, beyond Council protection or trade routes." Nancy gasped. The outer rim was lawless space. Pirates, dangerous alien species, and harsh, barely habitable worlds. "This is Exile," William said quietly. "This is mercy," replied the High Speaker. "Your ships will be allowed safe passage to the rim. What you do there is your concern, not ours." 1 hour later, William and his team sat in their small ship, heading back to Earth. The blue-green planet came into view through the viewport, beautiful and unaware of the judgment passed against it. "We should have brought more military advisors," said Frank Johnson, the defense attaché. His military uniform looked stiff and uncomfortable in the small cabin. "They respect strength." "More displays of strength would have only confirmed their fears," Nancy replied. William stared silently at Earth. 3 billion people were waiting for good news. News that would never come. Their ship docked at the global space station. William prepared the announcement that would shake human civilization. Humanity had 6 months to leave Council space. On Earth, the news hit like a tidal wave. Panic spread. Government leaders called emergency meetings. Military commanders prepared for possible conflict. But in Houston, Texas, Jack Peterson watched the news with different eyes. The veteran space explorer had mapped more uncharted regions than anyone alive. He sat in his modest apartment, a glass of whiskey in hand, listening to politicians argue on television. "They've given us exactly what we need," he muttered to himself. The next morning, Jack walked into the emergency summit at the United Nations. He wasn't invited, but security recognized the famous explorer and let him through. Inside, global leaders debated futile plans to appeal the Council's decision. Jack waited for a pause, then walked to the center of the room. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said. His voice was rough from years breathing recycled air on long voyages. "I've spent my life exploring the edges of known space. The outer rim isn't a death sentence. It's an opportunity." The room fell silent. "The Council thinks they're punishing us," Jack continued, "but they're setting us free. No rules, no restrictions, no limits on our development. Just endless resources and room to grow." William Carter, exhausted from his return journey, looked up with interest. "The rim has countless habitable worlds, asteroid belts rich with minerals. And yes, dangers too. But nothing humans haven't faced before." Jack brought up a star map on the main display. "I've been there. I've seen it. And I'm telling you, with the right approach, we can build something greater in the rim than we ever could under Council restrictions." For the first time since the judgment, a spark of hope appeared in the room. "They think they've banished us," Jack said with a smile forming on his weathered face. What they've really done is unleash us. 5 years passed since the Galactic Council's judgment. Earth had changed. Massive shipyards orbited the planet. Engineers and scientists worked day and night to build the Exodus fleet. The largest ship, Frontier Dawn, floated in space dock. At 12 miles long, it would carry 50,000 colonists to their new home. Captain Susan Wright stood on the bridge, watching the final preparations. "Status report," she said to her crew. "All systems ready, Captain," replied her first officer, Greg Martinez. "The last supply ships are docking now." Susan nodded. At 45, she had spent half her life in space, but nothing compared to this mission. "And the other colony ships?" "All 17 report ready for departure," Greg said. 2 million colonists total. Susan looked out at Earth below, the blue marble that humanity had called home for thousands of years. Soon, it would be just a memory. In the engineering section of Frontier Dawn, Daniel Foster made final adjustments to the ship's artificial intelligence. At 29, Daniel was considered the brightest mind in computer science. His dark hair hung over tired eyes as he worked. "Try the alien tech interface again," he told his assistant, Kelly. Kelly activated the system. A holographic display showed successful integration with a piece of salvaged Council technology. Daniel smiled. "Perfect. Our AI can now interpret and adapt alien tech 50 times faster than Council estimates for human capability." "Will this get us in trouble?" Kelly asked. "Only if they catch us," Daniel replied. "But they've already thrown us out. What more can they do?" The day of departure arrived. Across Earth, people gathered to watch the Exodus. Some cried, others cheered. Many felt both fear and hope. Jack Peterson, now advisor to the colony mission, gave a final speech from the launch center. "Today we don't leave as refugees. We leave as pioneers. The stars have always called to humanity. Now we answer that call." The first ships broke orbit. Then more followed. Soon the entire fleet headed for the jump point beyond Mars. They would travel through controlled Council space for 3 months before reaching the border of the Outer Rim. The journey was not easy. In the 3rd week, the fleet encountered space debris from an ancient battle. 2 smaller ships sustained damage. Captain Wright ordered a stop for repairs. As the fleet hovered in space, sensors detected approaching vessels. 6 ships coming in fast, reported the sensor officer on Frontier Dawn. "Unknown configuration," added Greg. "Not Council design." Susan straightened in her command chair. "Battle stations. Protect the civilian ships." The unknown vessels attacked without warning. They were scavengers, outlaws who preyed on travelers. They expected easy targets. They were wrong. The human defense ships moved into formation. Earth had prepared for dangers. Lasers fired across space. 2 scavenger ships exploded immediately. "They're retreating," Greg announced after a brief battle. Susan nodded. "Send repair teams to the damaged civilian ships. We continue in 1 hour." A month later, the fleet approached a massive nebula. Gas clouds swirled in beautiful but dangerous patterns. The nebula wasn't on the Council maps, Susan said, studying the readings. "Council ships don't come this way," Jack Peterson explained. "Their vessels can't handle the radiation." Susan frowned. "Can ours?" "Daniel thinks so," Jack replied. "His shielding modifications should work." Daniel joined them on the bridge. "The nebula actually helps us," he said. "If we calibrate our engines to the gas mixture, we can increase speed by 20%. "And if you're wrong?" Susan asked. Daniel shrugged. "Then we all die horribly." Susan thought for a moment. "Prepare the fleet for nebula entry. Adjust shields according to Daniel's specifications." The massive fleet turned toward the swirling colors of the nebula. Frontier Dawn led the way, its engines glowing blue against the darkness of space. Inside the nebula, strange energy patterns danced across the ship's hulls. But Daniel's modifications worked. The shields held. Better yet, the nebula hid them from Council observation posts. By the time they emerged on the other side, they had cut weeks off their journey and disappeared from Council monitoring. "Set course for the coordinates Jack provided," Susan ordered. "Let's find our new home." The fleet accelerated toward the outer rim, toward a future that no one could predict. The human fleet arrived at a blue-green planet after 8 months of travel. Scans showed breathable air, fresh water, and land suitable for farming. Jack Peterson named it New Haven. "Begin landing operations," Captain Susan Wright ordered from the bridge of Frontier Dawn. "First wave will establish the main settlement." Drop ships descended to the surface. Engineers, security teams, and construction workers went first. They built the foundation of what would become humanity's first city in the Outer Rim. 2 weeks after landing, Sam Rogers, head of security, noticed something strange on the perimeter sensors. "Movement in the hills to the east," he reported, "not matching any Earth animals." Major Elizabeth Howard studied the readings. At 36, she had spent 15 years in Earth's military before joining the colony mission. Her keen eyes narrowed at the screen. "Those are artificial movements," she said. "Organized patterns. We're not alone here." The next day, they got visual confirmation. Creatures moved through the tall grass near the settlement. They walked on 6 legs with bodies covered in hard shells. Their heads featured compound eyes and moving antennae. "Insectoid species," reported the science team, "approximately 5 feet tall, showing signs of advanced technology." Elizabeth prepared defense teams. She positioned them carefully around the perimeter, with orders not to fire first. 3 days later, the aliens attacked. They came at dawn, firing energy weapons that left scorch marks on the colony buildings. The human defenders responded, creating a protective line around the settlement. Elizabeth watched the battle unfold from the command center. "They're testing our defenses," she said, "not committing their full force." After an hour, the aliens retreated. They left behind one dead. Scientists examined the body. "We're calling them the Cricks," said head scientist Peter Collins. "Their biology is fascinating. They communicate partially through those antennae, some kind of electromagnetic signals." Elizabeth considered this information. "Can we use that?" Peter nodded slowly. "Maybe, if we create the right kind of emission pattern." The Cricks attacked twice more over the next week. Each time, they retreated after testing a different part of the human defenses. Elizabeth studied their tactics carefully. "They're smart," she told Captain Wright, "but they don't understand how we think. They expect us to act like the other species they've encountered." "And how do we act differently?" Susan asked. "We adapt. We don't follow patterns. And most importantly, we don't just fight. We look for other solutions." Elizabeth developed a bold plan. Using the information from the science team, she created a device that could transmit signals similar to Crick's communication patterns. "It's risky," Peter warned. "We don't know exactly what we're saying to them." "Sometimes you need to take risks," Elizabeth replied. The next time the Cricks approached, instead of preparing for battle, Elizabeth took a small team to meet them. She carried the communication device. The Cricks stopped, clearly surprised by this change in behavior. Elizabeth activated the device, sending what she hoped were peaceful signals. The largest Cricks stepped forward. Its antennae waved rapidly. After a tense moment, it produced a device of its own and made adjustments. "We, not expect, talk," came a mechanical voice from the device. The translation was rough but understandable. Elizabeth smiled. "We prefer talking to fighting." Over the next few days, they learned that the Cricks controlled 3 nearby star systems. They had attacked because they assumed humans were like the other aggressive species in the Outer Rim. "Others come. Take. Destroy," the Cricks leader, who called himself First Voice, explained. "We fight first for safety." "We don't want to take your worlds," Elizabeth assured them. "We need only this one planet. We could even trade with you." Trade. The concept seemed new to First Voice. Exchange things we have for things you have, so both groups benefit. The Cricks discussed among themselves, antennae waving rapidly. Finally, first voice returned. We try. This trade. Better than war. 1 month later, the first trade agreement between humans and an outer rim species was signed. The Cricks provided valuable information about nearby systems. Humans shared some of their technology. This is just the beginning, Elizabeth told Susan as they watched humans and Cricks working together to build an expanded landing area. If we can make allies instead of enemies, we can build something remarkable out here. Susan nodded. The council thought they were punishing us, but maybe they gave us the greatest opportunity of all. 6 months after making peace with the Cricks, human scouts discovered an asteroid field rich with minerals. The belt stretched across 2 light-years of space. The humans named it the Rust Belt because of its reddish color. Alan Murphy led the first mining expedition. At 48, he had spent his life developing mining techniques on Earth and in the solar system, but nothing compared to the riches they found here. These asteroids contain more iron and titanium than we mined in all of Earth's history, he told the colony leaders during a meeting. And there are elements here we've never seen before. Susan Wright, now governor of New Haven, leaned forward. Can we mine it efficiently? Ellen smiled. I've designed new robotic miners that can process an entire small asteroid in under a week. The Cricks helped us adapt our systems to work in this region's unique radiation field. Within 2 months, the first processing station was operational. Huge robotic rigs carved into the asteroids. Refineries separated the valuable metals. Transport ships carried the materials back to New Haven and to the growing number of human outposts. In her laboratory on New Haven, scientist Lisa Martinez studied samples from the Rust Belt. Her eyes widened as test results appeared on her screen. This can't be right, she whispered. She ran the test again. The results were the same. Lisa rushed to Governor Wright's office. I found something in the asteroid samples, something that changes everything. Lisa placed a small container on the desk. Inside was a blue-gray metal that seemed to shimmer. We're calling it stellarite. It has unique properties when exposed to energy fields. It could revolutionize our faster-than-light drives. Susan picked up the container. How revolutionize? Our current ships can travel about 2 light-years per day. With stellarite-enhanced drives, we might reach 20 light-years, maybe more. The implications were enormous. Humanity could explore and expand 10 times faster than before. They could reach resources and establish colonies well beyond what anyone had planned. Keep this quiet for now, Susan ordered, until we understand it better. But secrets were hard to keep, especially from the Galactic Council. On a council monitoring station at the edge of council space, an analyst named Sealer noticed unusual readings. The amount of refined metals flowing from the outer rim had increased dramatically. The humans are mining at impossible rates, he told his supervisor. Supervisor Krell, a member of the Voltar species, studied the data. Perhaps they found native help, or perhaps they are more resourceful than the council believed. Should we report this to the council? Krell considered this. Yes, but first, send observers. I want to know exactly what they're doing out there. Back in the Rust Belt, Alan's team spotted an unidentified ship lurking at the edge of the asteroid field. It used stealth technology, but the humans had installed advanced sensors throughout the region. Definitely not Crick's design, Alan reported to New Haven. Matches council technology patterns. Governor Wright called an emergency meeting. They're watching us now. They've noticed our progress. Jack Peterson, now serving as strategic advisor, shrugged. We knew they would eventually. The question is, what will they do about it? They can't officially interfere, said Elizabeth Howard, now head of security for all human territories. They banished us, which means they gave up jurisdiction. Officials aren't what worry me, Jack replied. It's who they might hire to interfere unofficially. Lisa Martinez joined the conversation. We need to secure the stellarite mining operations immediately. If the Council learns about it, they'll find a way to stop us." Susan finished her sentence. "Expand security around all Rust Belt operations and accelerate the stellarite research. If the Council is watching now, we need every advantage we can get." That night, Alan returned to the main mining station. He looked out at the vast field of asteroids. What had started as a simple mining operation had become something much more important. The future of humanity in the Outer Rim might depend on what they pulled from these rocks. And somewhere out there, Council eyes were watching, judging, perhaps planning. The race had begun. 3 years after discovering the Rust Belt, humans had established 12 colonies across 7 star systems. Trade ships moved between these worlds, carrying goods and people. Mining operations expanded. Factories produced new ships and equipment. But not everyone welcomed human success. On the colony world of New Terra, Governor Susan Wright met with Ryan Cooper, head of the newly formed Special Operations Division. At 35, Ryan had sharp eyes that missed nothing and a calm voice that hid his concerns. "Another refinery explosion," he reported. "Third one this month. This wasn't an accident." Susan frowned. "Do we know who?" Ryan placed a small device on her desk. It was partly melted but still recognizable as advanced technology. "We found this in the wreckage. It's a detonator. Not human design. Not Crick's either." "Then who?" "The Draconid Consortium," Ryan said. "They controlled most trade in this sector before we arrived. Now we're competing with them. They don't like competition." The Draconid Consortium was a powerful group of traders and mercenaries. They had dominated the Outer Rim for centuries. They controlled shipping routes, demanded payment for protection, and eliminated rivals. "We can't fight an open war with them," Susan said. "We're still building our forces." Ryan nodded. "Not openly, but we can fight their kind of war." Over the next month, Ryan built a team of operatives. They came from military, intelligence, and even criminal backgrounds. People who knew how to move in shadows and keep secrets. Their first mission targeted a Draconid supply depot. 6 operatives infiltrated the station, gathered intelligence, and left without detection. The information they collected revealed dozens of planned attacks against human outposts. "They're more organized than we thought," Ryan told Susan. "This isn't just random sabotage. They want to drive us out completely." In response, Ryan expanded his operations. His teams protected human facilities while conducting counter missions. When Draconids sabotaged a human ship, Ryan's team disabled 2 of theirs. When Draconids attacked a mining outpost, Ryan's operatives hit their fuel depot. It became a shadow war. Most humans in the colonies knew nothing about it. They continued building their new lives while Ryan's teams fought in darkness. During this time, a Draconid agent infiltrated the stellarite research facility on New Haven. He nearly reached the main laboratory before security stopped him. The incident confirmed that the consortium knew about humanity's new technology. "We need allies," Ryan told Susan. "Other species who also suffer under Draconid control." Ryan traveled to worlds where other species struggled against the consortium. He met with the bird-like avians, the amphibious Marathi, and several other races. Many were cautious. Humans were newcomers, unproven. But Ryan was persuasive. "Alone, none of us can challenge the Draconids. Together, we have a chance." Slowly, an intelligence network formed. The avians provided scouts with their natural flying ability. The Marathi offered safe harbors on their water worlds. Other species contributed according to their skills. Information flowed between them, creating a web across the Outer Rim. Meanwhile, Admiral George Wilson built the human defense fleet. Each new ship incorporated both human innovations and allied alien technologies. They trained together, learning to coordinate their different fighting styles. "We'll be ready if this shadow war becomes an open one," George promised. The Draconids noticed the change. Their operations met increasing resistance. Their agents disappeared. Their secure communications were compromised. On the Draconid command station, War Leader Kraz summoned his lieutenants. "These humans have become more than an annoyance," he said, his scaled skin darkened with anger. "They build alliances with the weak races. They steal our trade routes. They resist our efforts to remove them." His clawed hand smashed down on the table. "Enough shadows. Enough small strikes. We will crush them with overwhelming force. Prepare the battle fleet." On New Haven, Ryan received the warning from an avian scout. The message was simple but chilling. Draconid war fleet assembling. Target, human worlds. Estimated attack, 10 days. The Shadow War was ending. A real war was about to begin. The attack came sooner than expected. 7 days after the warning, Draconid warships appeared near the human colony of New Hope. 30 large battle cruisers with hundreds of smaller attack ships surrounded the planet. Admiral George Wilson commanded the defense from his flagship, Defiance. He had only 15 warships to protect the colony. Evacuation status, he asked his communications officer. 60% complete, sir. Civilian ships still launching. George nodded. We need to buy them more time. Deploy in defensive formation Delta. Priority is protecting those evacuation ships. The human fleet moved into position. They were outnumbered but had 2 advantages. Stellarite-enhanced engines gave them better maneuverability, and they had planned for this day. The battle was fierce. Draconid ships fired powerful energy weapons. Human vessels took heavy damage but fought back with precision strikes at weak points identified by Ryan's intelligence teams. Just as the human fleet began to falter, a new signal appeared on their sensors. Multiple ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel, reported the sensor officer. Crick's design. 20 vessels approaching. George held his breath. Were these reinforcements or more enemies? The answer came quickly. The Crick's ships attacked the Draconid rear formation, catching them by surprise. Then more ships arrived, Avian, Mirathi, and others, all races that had formed alliances with humanity. With this combined force, they drove back the Draconid fleet. The colony was saved, though damaged. Most civilians escaped safely. 2 weeks after the battle, representatives from all allied species gathered on New Haven. They met in a large circular chamber built specially for this historic occasion. Olivia Sanchez, humanity's chief diplomat, addressed the gathering. At 40, she had a calm presence that inspired trust. "What we achieved at New Hope proves what we can accomplish together," she said. "Separately, the Draconids can defeat each of us. United, we can stand against them." First voice of the Cricks clicked his mandibles in agreement. Humans fight different, think different. Good allies. The avian representative spread his wing arms. "For centuries we lived under Draconid threats. No more." Olivia proposed a formal alliance, a rim confederation of equal partners. Each species would maintain independence but commit to mutual defense and free trade. Not all were immediately convinced. The reptilian Sorens had doubts. "Humans new to Rim," their representative hissed. "Why should humans lead?" "We don't seek to lead," Olivia explained. "Only to unite. Each world governs itself. Each species keeps its culture. We vote as equals on matters affecting us all." Debate continued for days. Some wanted stronger central authority. Others preferred looser alliances. Olivia listened to all views, suggesting compromises where needed. Meanwhile, the Draconids regrouped. War Leader Kraz was furious about the defeat at New Hope. "These alliances cannot stand," he told his commanders. "We attack their central world next, New Haven itself, with all our forces." The Draconids assembled the largest fleet ever seen in the Outer Rim, over 100 capital ships and thousands of fighters. They approached New Haven just as the alliance talks reached final stages. Paul Johnson, Director of Security for New Haven, burst into the conference chamber. "Massive Draconid fleet approaching. Largest we've ever detected. ETA 6 hours." The room fell silent. Then first voice of the Cricks stood. "We fight together now. Sign treaty later." One by one, the other representatives agreed. They transmitted orders to their ships. For the first time, a unified fleet representing a dozen rim species prepared for battle. Admiral Wilson coordinated from the command center on New Haven. "We're still outnumbered," he told the gathered representatives. "But now we have something worth fighting for." The newly formed Confederation fleet took position around New Haven. Every available ship, from massive battle cruisers to small patrol vessels, formed a defensive line. As the Draconid fleet appeared from faster-than-light travel, they faced not just human resistance, but a united Rim. The greatest battle in Outer Rim history was about to begin. Governor Susan Wright watched from the planet's surface as ships filled the sky above. 20 years ago," she said quietly, "the Council thought they were ending our story by banishing us. They were only beginning it." The battle for New Haven lasted 3 days. The Confederation forces fought with courage and determination. Though outnumbered, they used superior tactics and coordination. In the end, the Draconid fleet broke and retreated. Their leader, war leader Kraz, died when his command ship exploded. The victory came at a high cost. Many ships were destroyed. Thousands of lives were lost from all allied species. Parts of New Haven suffered damage from weapons that got through the defenses. But the Rim Confederation stood strong. The treaty was signed 1 week after the battle. 26 species joined the alliance, creating the largest unified force the Outer Rim had ever known. 20 years had passed since humans were banished from Council space. Now they were key members of a powerful new government. The Confederation grew quickly, adding more worlds and species. Trade flourished. Defense forces expanded. Catherine Phillips led the Confederation's scientific efforts. At 32, she had grown up on New Haven. She never knew Earth except from stories and images. The Outer Rim was her home, and she worked to make it better. "The research teams on Station Omega have made another breakthrough," she announced during a Confederation meeting. "By combining human AI systems with Crick's biotech and avian energy concepts, we've created shield technology twice as effective as previous versions." This pattern repeated across many fields. The sharing of knowledge between species accelerated progress. Ships became faster and stronger. Medicine advanced. Communication systems improved. The Confederation achieved in years what would normally take decades. Catherine's pride was the innovation center on New Haven. Scientists from all Confederation species worked together there. They solved problems none could fix alone. "We've accomplished so much," she told her assistant one day. "Not just surviving but thriving." "The Council never expected this," her assistant replied. "The Council," Catherine repeated thoughtfully. "They've been quiet lately." In truth, the Galactic Council had watched the rise of the Rim Confederation with growing concern. Reports reached them of rapid technological advances. Spies sent information about expanding territories and military strength. "They've established control over nearly a quarter of the Rim," reported Councillor Javix during a closed council session. "At current rates of expansion, they will dominate half the Rim within 15 years. High Speaker Lorinth, who had replaced the one who banished humanity, looked troubled. What started as Exile has become the birth of a rival power. The Council debated what to do. Some wanted military action to contain the Confederation. Others suggested negotiation. After much discussion, they decided to send an envoy to assess the situation. Ambassador Leah Morgan led the Council delegation. Her official mission was to re-evaluate human development and determine if limited Council contact might be established. Her ship arrived at New Haven 30 years after humanity's banishment. The Confederation welcomed the delegation with proper ceremony, but also with caution. Leah had expected to find struggling colonies. Instead, she saw a thriving world with advanced technology and diverse species working together. The city around the spaceport featured architecture that blended styles from many worlds. Ships of various designs filled the skies. "This is," Unexpected, she told her aides. During the following days, Leah met with Confederation leaders. She toured facilities, including Catherine's Innovation Center. She observed their government in action. Her secret orders were to assess military capabilities and find weaknesses the Council could exploit if needed. But as she learned more about the Confederation, she found herself questioning her mission. They built something remarkable here, she confided to her personal journal. Not an empire of conquest, but a true alliance of equals. The Council feared human aggression, yet they've used their drive and determination to unite rather than conquer. On the final day of her visit, Catherine showed Leah their newest ship design. It incorporated technology no Council world possessed. "Why are you showing me this?" Leah asked. Catherine smiled. "Because soon, we'll be sending our own delegation to the Council. Not as supplicants, but as equals. It's time they saw what they created when they cast us aside." Leah realized then that the balance of power was shifting. The Council's mistake 30 years ago had unintentionally created their greatest potential rival, or their most valuable future ally. Everything would depend on what happened next. 30 years after humanity's banishment, the Rim Confederation prepared to send representatives to the Galactic Council. Fleet Admiral Vincent Taylor commanded the diplomatic mission. At 53, he had spent most of his life in the Rim. His gray hair and the scar across his cheek showed his years of service. "This isn't just about humans anymore," he told his crew as their ships prepared to depart. "We represent all Confederation species now." The diplomatic fleet consisted of 5 vessels. Each showcased the advanced technology developed in the Rim. The flagship, Unity, was the most impressive ship ever built by the Confederation. It combined the best innovations from all member species. Representatives from 12 major Confederation races joined the mission. The Crix sent First Speaker, descendant of the original First Voice. The Avians sent Sky Elder. Other species sent their own leaders. Vincent studied the mission briefing one final time. "Our goal is mutual recognition and open borders. We don't seek revenge for past actions, just respect and fair treatment moving forward." The journey to Council space took 2 weeks. The fleet could have traveled faster with their advanced drives, but they maintained moderate speed to avoid appearing threatening. News of their approach spread quickly through Council worlds. Many citizens gathered at observation points to witness the arrival of the mysterious fleet from the Rim. Council security forces watched nervously as the 5 massive ships entered orbit around the Council capital world. In the Great Chamber of the Council, representatives from over 100 species assembled. Some were curious, others were fearful. Many remembered the decision to banish humanity and wondered if they had made a terrible mistake. High Speaker Lawrence opened the session. "Today we welcome representatives from the Rim Confederation, a government formed in the territories beyond Council jurisdiction." Vincent led the delegation into the chamber, the same room where, 30 years earlier, humanity had been judged and banished. But now they returned not as supplicants, but as representatives of a major power. "Honored Council," Vincent began, "we come in peace, seeking formal recognition and diplomatic relations between the Galactic Council and the Rim Confederation." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Some council members appeared shocked at the confidence in Vincent's voice. He spoke not as a returning exile, but as an equal. "The Confederation now governs nearly a quarter of what you call the Outer Rim," Vincent continued. "We have brought stability and prosperity to regions long troubled by lawlessness. We have united species that once fought each other." Vincent gestured to the diverse representatives beside him. "What you see before you is not just humanity. We are one voice among many in the Confederation." Councillor Javik stood. "While this is impressive, we must address concerns about your rapid military expansion. Some view this as a potential threat to Council security." First Speaker of the Crix stepped forward. Mandibles clicking as translation devices conveyed his words. "Confederation builds strength for protection, not conquest. We remember when Council ignored Rim problems, left us to draconic control. Humans helped free us. The debate continued for hours. Some council members pushed for restrictions on Confederation activities. Others recognized the potential benefits of peaceful relations. The discussion grew heated when several militarist council members suggested containment measures against the Confederation. At that moment, news arrived that changed everything. The Draconid remnant, those who had survived the fall of the consortium, had attacked a council border world. They had been planning this for years, waiting for the council to be distracted. "This is why unity matters," Vincent said calmly as the council chamber erupted in confusion. "Divided, we are vulnerable. Together, we are strong." He offered immediate Confederation assistance against the Draconid attack. It was a gesture that transformed the debate. 2 days later, Sandra Hughes, the newly elected Human Confederation president, arrived to finalize negotiations. She stood before the council, a symbol of how far humanity had come. 30 years ago, you cast us into the unknown," she said. "You expected us to perish, or at best, survive on the fringes. Instead, we found our greatest strength. We learned to build bridges between different worlds and species. We didn't conquer the rim. We helped liberate it." She extended her hand to High Speaker Lawrence. "Now we offer that same hand of friendship to you. Not in anger over the past, but in hope for the future." As the two leaders clasped hands, a new chapter began. Humanity had not just survived banishment. They had transformed it into their greatest triumph.